Hello everybody. In this episode, I'm going to talk about your performance goals and things to consider or avoid during your journey. When building or upgrading your project, it's easy to overlook or not think of things you can do to improve the consistency and reliability of a project's performance. You'll be surprised how much a bushing, thermal barrier, or an adjustment can improve your driving experience, extend component life, and in some cases, prevent catastrophic failure. I'm going to split this discussion into several videos. For each video, I'll put timestamps in the description regarding what's in the video, so you can jump to whatever you're interested in. So first, let's talk about the suspension/handling. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Adjusting or upgrading your project's suspension and chassis is the first thing I suggest doing on a project. The reason why I say this is because everybody has a different driving style. Getting the car handle how you want it to handle is key for enjoying your build. Even with a bunch of power, it's not fun when things go left when you want them to go right. See what I did there? In general, I prefer adjustable components over fixed components. In suspension, I'm mainly referring to the shock or strut system and the sway bar setup. For the shocks, I prefer coilovers opposed to lowering springs or air ride. Sway bars are either adjustable or they're not. Now we can talk about the pros and cons of each system in another video or in the comment section of this video. But for this video, let's talk about the supports for these mods that are overlooked and sometimes misunderstood. Lowering your car is cool and all, but if your bushings are worn from years of use and exposure, the handling isn't going to be as consistent or as good as it can be. They're also going to wear faster because of the increased stress they will experience from the parts that you did upgrade. Now when I talk about the parts, I'm talking about shock or strut bump stops, top hats, sway bar bushings, steering rack bushings, end links or link bushings, and pretty much all the rubber or polymer based components attached to the suspension. Make sure you account for these pieces when planning your next upgrade. If you don't, you're not going to get the most out of the parts you did replace, and there's a good chance that you'll have to replace the neglected parts in the near future. In addition, lowering your car in excess or not adjusting your alignment will prematurely wear out or destroy just about every rotating component attached to the wheels, and sometimes even the non-rotating parts will be damaged too. If you want to go low, spend the time and or money making sure your suspension setup is done properly. I've damaged my car from lowering it too much without changing my settings. I've also had bad wheel bearings wear out because of alignment issues. I'm sharing this info with you so you don't make the same mistakes that I have made or mistakes that I have witnessed other people make. So, replacing the bushings and having a good alignment setting will improve the ride quality and handling. It can also save you some money and time not dealing with broken parts. Now if you have to have negative 10 degrees of camber, then have an air ride system and only have it in that position when the car is stationary. If you drive that way, it can become a safety factor for you and the drivers around you. Speaking of safety, let's talk brakes. The brake system you use heavily depends on your application. Getting the most expensive or the biggest brakes may not be the best option for your project. Example, carbon ceramic material brakes currently are it in terms of circuit or on-road lap racing. There's a significant difference between them and their steel counterpart when you're on the track. But here's the thing. They are terrible for daily driving. First, you have to warm them up just for them to work. I've seen plenty of accidents happen because people drive their high-end vehicles, but the brakes aren't warmed up, so they crash into things. Secondly, they are inherently loud. Like, they squeal a lot. Like, a lot. And that's just because of the material that they're made of. There's nothing wrong with them. And also, looking at fully built drag cars, their braking systems are relatively tiny, and this is because they use other methods to slow down, like parachutes. But anyway, let's talk about supporting your brake upgrade. supporting brake mods isn't as complicated as supporting suspension mods. It's more of a matter of maintenance and good habits. A normal passenger vehicle should have the brake fluid changed every 2 years or so. If you track it 1 or 2 times a year, I would say replace it every year. If you track it more than that, I would suggest doing it before every event. When installing new brakes, follow the braking procedure. Manufacturers spend a lot of resources figuring out how to optimize their product. It's not something I would ignore. Follow the procedure, please. Now, whenever you run your car hard, you should always do a cool down cycle, whether it be a cool down lap or light driving a mile or two down the road. This allows all components, including your brakes, to dissipate the heat accumulated from driving hard. I've seen several times where wheel wells and engine bays catch on fire just because they went from hard driving to a hard stop. And let me tell you, that is the wrong kind of smoke show. Speaking of smoke shows, doing donuts and burnouts in a parking lot and then parking your car can cause damage as well. But honestly, with that, we've all done it. It's going to happen. Just don't do it for the gram too much. Another small but very bad thing for brakes are fast temperature changes. Also known as, if you just drove your car and now you're washing it, do not spray your brakes with hose water. Fast temp changes to most foreign materials is usually never a good idea. It causes hard spots, cracking, and warping of the discs and or the pads. This also means to try to safely avoid deep puddles when it rains. The last thing for brakes is monitor them regularly. If you drive hard, you will most likely wear out your brakes sooner. Performance pads can wear faster because the material they are made of is usually softer than non-performance pads or the OEM stuff. As pads and discs wear, they become less efficient as there isn't as much material to dissipate heat. And last, but definitely not least, tires. Without tires, none of this stuff works. Tire choice is key, and tire maintenance is keyer. Yeah. So I would suggest doing a bunch of research on which tire works for your application and your budget. So read a ton of reviews and feedback from different sources. You really should be doing that for everything that you're doing and or buying off the shelf, because research, people have already done the work. Why not use their information to help you out? For tire support, there are only 2 things you must do. Even though there are only 2, most people don't do either of them. They are set proper tire pressures and read your treads. And if I'm honest, they're not as simple as they seem. This is because these 2 things have a wide range of situations and applications. The amount of R&D that go into tires is really just incredible. I don't think one person, honestly, could be the master of it all. But I'm sure the internet can prove me wrong. With all that being said, tire pressure is based on your performance application. If you are staying on the street, start with the vehicle manufacturer's recommendation. It's usually between 32 and 38 psi. From there, you can kind of adjust to where you want to be. Most street tires only have the max pressure posted on the sidewall. That's danger high. I've seen 80 psi on a family sedan, so don't be that person. On the flip side, it's known for sand, snow, and ice crawlers to use a relatively low tire pressure to spread the load across whatever surface that they're on. So my recommendation is to read and talk to people who participate in whatever activity you plan on doing. Use their experience as a baseline for your settings, and then adjust from there. Tire pressure is very important for optimal performance and reliability. Now, when it comes to reading treads, it's about paying attention. You can learn to read a tread where you can determine if your vehicle has a problem or if the surface is an issue. But in general, you want to check for uneven wear and or damage. Starting the habit of checking your tire tread is what I want you to do. Because once you get in the habit of regularly checking your tire treads and maybe like looking at other people's, you'll start to pick up on what to look for pretty quickly. So to summarize this video, my advice when doing anything to your vehicle is don't rush. In suspension, don't rush to lower and then just drive the car. Replace the bushings and set your alignment. Upgrade your brakes, change the fluid and perform the bedding procedure. Set your tire pressures and make sure they aren't damaged. Performing these support mods, measures, and adjustments will add to your project and to your experience. So, if you like this video, please leave a like and feel free to subscribe. For more car-related content, you can visit my channel or follow me on Instagram at RockingUploads. I'll put a link in the description. And with that being said, stay tuned and thanks for watching.